I guess I'll just start with where we started before. How's everybody feeling? Good. Anybody stressed out right now? Anybody need like? Okay, just double checking. This is basically going to be our decompression outlet, or inspiration outlet, or questions outlet, and we're going to do this twice a week. So this is the first one. The next one is in the calendar, and then the next two. Open format. There's no real rules. I think this is stemming from like we started doing a podcast series a few months ago, but it's mostly about like the art being kind of like the byproduct of everything else, and people don't really get a chance to speak about everything else. So this is that chance. And it doesn't have to be about the art. It could be about how you guys feel right now, how you felt, what's changing, what you want to get off your chest. Just open format, open mic. So this is, I'll just toss this around, right? And yeah, so I'll start since I got the mic. So for me, at least, this is kind of like this is work. This is a lot of work for like us. Like me, Akadi, Brian, and Zoya. And then like y'all too. But it like, the benefit overshadows the work. And beyond that, it's like the fourth time that I've been in this city. So like my question is constantly like, why am I here? And I've like, for me personally, it's like decompression in general from being in New York and having to go through all of like the fast paced. And then every time I'm here, it's kind of like, it gives me the space to just think of what if, what could be. Like when I look, what does my life look like when I'm 50? And maybe I might become like a Kaga local or something like that because I just gotten so comfortable with it. But every time I'm here, it's kind of like a lot of whys are in my head. Even though I'm planning, there's always a lot of whys. And I don't really create during this time because I'm more focused on everyone here. So it's like a weird space where, like some of you probably heard me say this, but I'm hardly around this many people. Like hardly. I'm in my zone creating, and then I might go out, and that's like a blip. But like for 2 weeks around people, this is like unique in itself for me. So even though I'm in the seat of like exploring, I'm still asking a lot of questions about a lot of things for personal. But yeah, this is like, just get that off my chest. Yeah. And anybody want to share anything?
No, facts. I'm like soft, soft toss it. Yeah, facts. So like since this is my second time, it's actually crazy because this like now, like because there's already a lot that's changed, it's completely changed my whole, I guess, perception and expectation of what I thought like year two would be like. I'm like thoroughly surprised, which is really good. And it's like, it's interesting where like, if you don't have the frame of reference of what happened before, it's all good, obviously. But like, then I think having this as your first experience is actually pretty fucking dope. Like the space here is massive. I feel like there's like, we have a lot more like space to do stuff. Like these rooms, like when we were creating in the other rooms, they were much smaller. And like, I mean, same amount of people, but like, and it was cool because we had like the close knit like nature of it. But I think like there's more around for our minds to kind of really occupy the space in a really dope way. So I'm just very overly excited about like the process. And that's really it, honestly. I'm just kind of like, just generally super excited about the whole thing. Like I was saying it earlier, but we came up like this shit is tight. Hell yeah.
I used to play baseball. Good hand-eye coordination. I want to say to Zoya, Star, Akari, Brian, you guys have like outdone yourselves. We're on like day 3 and I'm just like, whoa. Like, so hats off to you, round of applause to you. You guys did a fantastic job thus far already, and I'm really excited to see what comes up. And also, this like just really dawned on me now that we have like everybody here, and I'm like looking at all y'all in the face. But it's like we all folks of color in here. Like I love that, and I really do appreciate that, and just the fact that y'all are kind of throwing the ball back to us, and like giving this type of opportunity to us. So like I'm just very appreciative of that. I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing. I think we're gonna have a fantastic time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I'll say something again later, but I just wanted to get that off my chest. I thought that was cool. Yeah. So yeah. Big respect to y'all.
You set yourself up.
He didn't say he was good at baseball.
Once I left my hands, I was like,
So, first off, like he said, this is super exciting. I mean, not only being around all of y'all and feeling already the inspiration from the scenery, but also the energy that you guys are, just spreading out, that's coming out of your hearts. This is insane. And it's amazing to actually have this opportunity to, share this with y'all. But as well, personally at least, like I've always been connected to Japanese culture in many ways. I feel at home. You know what I mean? This is a connection that I've never felt before. And I've been around. And this is just interesting to experience, but at the same time to know that beauty is going to come out of this. I'm not even expecting anything particular. It's just the experience in itself. It's already so beautiful. And I'm at a loss of words, really. It's just the fact that we're all sharing this is already a big experience. However, I'm hoping, trying not to get my hopes up at the same time, but I'm hoping that this experience will really show me why I want to move into this country. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just going to give me a reason to move, but it's just going to open my mind and my eyes to the whole culture in and of itself. Not just this particular experience, but the country and what it has to offer. But outside of the cities, like where you can actually feel the culture of the country, where you can feel the people, where you can actually connect. That's the main thing that I'm hoping for here. So it's just, wow. I'll leave it at that.
So coming from like my background, I lived in Japan before, but this is like my first experience really coming here with the goal of like making future connections and opportunities for my art and my career. And it's honestly like really overwhelming. I think until a couple days before we came here, I was talking to Sam and we're going back and forth, stressing out about everything going on, like at home in our studio and all the work we have to do. And like, we were even considering canceling, like, should we just cancel? like it's, I don't, but
now that we're here.
I mean, honestly, like it's still hard to get out of that headspace of needing to like have like get work done and make good work and like making sure things come out of this. But like we haven't done anything yet, and I already feel like there's things happening, you know, through the connections we're making and just being around other passionate people doing their thing. It really makes me feel like it's possible. Like I could just do it. So I'm looking forward to working alongside everyone and seeing what everyone makes. Yeah.
Got it. I think what I've really appreciated, like kind of from the beginning, was there's really no expectations on us. Even Star kind of was saying, even to like make art for the exhibition, like, you know, it's all kind of been like how you feel and what you want to create. And like, I think is doing a good job of kind of not forcing a lot on us. And I think that is going to breed a lot of creativity. And I've just really enjoyed getting to meet all of you too. I mean, I was nervous coming into this. I think this is going to be the longest time I've like actually focused on art since I was just like a kid and just kind of doing it for fun or like maybe for a class or on my own time. So even just like being like, oh, I'm around other artists, like even just saying I'm an artist with you all is really great. And just having all different kinds of art from just like writing and muralist and even people that weren't kind of artists in the beginning and have transitioned into it. It's just really, it's exciting.
Hey, still got soft hands. You know, I think like the most interesting thing about this is like, you know, we're all coming from places that are, you know, whether they're in the States or whether they're abroad, but they're all places that we really know very well. You know, we feel secure and safe in those areas. And I feel like the challenge here is, you know, letting go of those like comfort zones in so many ways and, you know, trying out new things and trying our best to like remain curious, you know. You know, we love those like creature comforts that we have at home. We love knowing that we don't have to think about the route we have to take to the studio or to like to get art supplies or, you know, to even get the food that we love. And I feel like being here is going to be such a challenge to maintain that curiosity, to not get like so bogged down in the fact that like, hey, you may not be able to speak the language or read the kanji or like, you may not even know the customs, but I think it's even though that challenge is there, like keep your curiosity as high as you possibly can, you know, don't shrink at all. I'm trying my hardest not to shrink in moments where I'm like, I really don't know how to communicate. I could just bow. But like, I think for me, it's always remembering to like stay curious, you know, and not just like with the environment, but also with each other. Like, you know, we don't know each other that much. Like we've gotten like, you know, glimpses of each other and, you know, made connections and stuff like that. But like, I feel like as we start to get into our art process, that's going to be us showing a different side of ourselves. And some parts may be, you know, more open. Some parts may be stubborn, you know, and you may have some parts that you're really guarded on. But I just hope that even with that, we can all remain curious about each other and curious about each other's processes and respectful and, you know, and see what we open ourselves up to. So, yeah, excited to be working with y'all.
Anyone else? All right. Going once, going twice. All right.
Hey.
Yeah? Again?
Oh!
Not a picture or a pageant.
Yeah. Clearly not in the majors. I like what you said about kind of getting into like how we're gonna be getting into like our artistic grooves. It almost makes me kind of nervous because like I'm like, oh man, because I know how I am. I'm not gonna say nothing yet, but I know how I am. So it's like, like I guess I'm mostly nervous about like how I'll interact with the group in that space, because I know myself, but I don't know everyone else. So it might be a challenge, but I feel like we'll figure out like our best route and course of action for whatever we want to make and still make cool stuff. I don't know. I just wanted to share that because it was like an interesting kind of like feeling and like something I didn't even think about, right? Like we're going to be here making art and like, you know, like we've been a certain kind of way with each other up until a point now, right? But like okay, like what's it going to be like when we really get into it, you know? And everyone's doing like similar things, different things. So that's going to express itself and like kind of like manifest differently for each person. So yeah.
Okay. This isn't gonna be long though, but I'm picking back off what you guys said. For me, I personally feel like this experience, everyone, I could be wrong, everyone's coming in and their focus is the art and seeing everyone's art styles. For me, I'm seeing it as if I asked you what your religion is or what you believe in and things like that. So it might be nervous at first seeing everyone's art style, but I think it's because personalities and it's a spiritual practice kind of in a way, working on yourself and producing something. But I think it's a good way to learn about each other and like the way we grew up, the things we believe in, and like how we operate and maneuver. And I feel like this is a good group. It could have been random strangers, hood rats, like crazy things. Well, like yeah, but like it could have been like I feel like all of our energies bounce off of each other in a good way. No one rubs me the wrong way, and I hope I don't rub anybody else the wrong way. But I think it's a good group of people to learn from. Different beliefs everywhere. So yeah, yep.
You want me to do it?
So, regarding what you just said, it's kind of interesting because it's bound to happen. I mean, we are going to eventually rub against each other at some point or another, you know? There's going to be some sort of friction, but it's part of the experience. And I understand that, after all, we're all adults, right? We're not children to a degree that, like, oh, he's rubbing against me, oh, I'm going to go the fuck away. You know, that's not going to be the case because we get to not only experience, but we understand that we're in this together. Even if we're going to be working individually on specific pieces, maybe more, you know, united with the murals and all that stuff, but that experience in and of itself, it's going to be feeding not just our personalities and our ways of life, but also our work. You know what I mean? So say that there's a lot of illustrators here. Like them two, they have it easy to a degree because they've been working together for who knows how long, and they both do pottery. and they probably have.
That's what makes it harder.
Yeah, but still, I mean, like there's already a dynamic.
We are like in studio together all the time, and because of that, whenever we're in studio for way too long, we get so irritable.
Yeah, of course.
Each other, so
like there's a dynamic. That's the point. There's a dynamic, and you already know how to handle that. You know, like we don't know how to handle that dynamic amongst each other because we are just meeting each other. So it's gonna be interesting considering that many of us share a similar, you know, style or not style, but what's the word? Medium. Thank you. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But at the same time, I mean, at least I know that I'm open to whatever happens. And if there's conflict, that conflict is going to feed the work.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. That's how you get close to somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. Like understanding people is not just understanding the good side. It's also knowing the bad side and accepting that person for, you know, for that. And being able to appreciate a person knowing both sides of that coin. And that's something that's going to be very consistent in this particular experience, I believe. And that's beautiful.
I just want to point out, if anyone is feeling frustrated at any point, there are 2 onsens in the building. 2 onsens! Let's go chill out. Yeah, literally. But honestly, because we're going to be in the onsens every day, I can't even foresee us, like, getting upset. Like, how are we going to be upset in this situation? How?
You both gotta go with the onsen.
We can actually make a rule. If anybody's
Yeah, you got beef to squash? Take it to the onsen. 30 minutes in the sauna.
actually in the onsen screaming.
Before hold on, I'm gonna forget what I was gonna say. And accepting one's light and shadow, I think that's something that we should try to dive really deeply into while we're here. I feel like having an experience like this will help us learn more about not only each other but ourselves. And yeah, that's it. I'm not a woman of many words. That was it.
Woman of enough words.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I didn't play baseball either.
Some of us did.
Got
it.
I don't know if this will like derail it or anything, but like I'm just curious how you all have dealt with maybe not the like, I don't want to say like the ugly and the pretty side of you, but like those harder to deal with realities that you kind of that come up that you don't know about, and to kind of accept that about yourself. If it comes to like art and it comes to working with someone else, or it's been like a personal journey, like what kind of gets you to that place of like, this is who I am and I'm going to accept all these other parts that come with it.
Excellent question. For me, and I like the reason my hand kind of shot up is because like I've been there and I've kind of got like a surefire answer for that. It comes through in the work. Usually, if like I have like a feeling about something or about myself or about a situation I'm in or someone else, I'll make a piece about it. A lot of my work is like portrait work. I think all my pieces in a way are like self-portraits, not only for myself, but like for everyone. That's kind of the level of accessibility I want to have with it. So like even ones that are like for example, the last bigger portrait I did was of the Hulk, which is my favorite one that I've done because I think it's like where my style and like my skill has been best kind of put out. I titled it, "Why is the Hulk green? Is it because he envies Bruce Banner?" And at the time, I had like this jealousy of like, it was like a specific moment that like me and a friend were in, and like something was granted to them that I felt like I could have had. And because I didn't get it or like capitalize on it, I was like, damn, like, I could have had that, right? And I have another friend completely outside of this moment who's like kind of like embrace their jealous side. So like I remember at the same time feeling like, no, like you being jealous ain't cool. Like that's not something to be like hype about, you know? So then like I made the piece, and I think the idea of like the jealousy part came up after, because you know it's like the whole thing with like green with envy, the Hulk is green, right? And then like it kind of like allowed me to like pass that through, you know? And it's like I think like that kind of experience, I don't know if like I'll have the time, like whenever something comes up immediately, I'm like, all right, like I gotta go draw something about this, like, you know, like right then and there. But yeah, like that's like one way I've kind of dealt with that in an artistic sense, you know, which I felt was like appropriate to, you know, for our current situation. But yeah, like it'll be like, nah, like I gotta get this out, like whether I'm feeling like sad, I gotta get it out. Like upset. Like I have like pieces I've made like super upset, like Playboy Cardi blasting in my ears, like raging, like making a piece, and you get it out. And you know, I think in doing that, you kind of accept it. It's like, for me at least, it's like, oh, okay, like here it is. Now I have this piece because of like I felt this way, and now it's like tangible. So it's like, well, what do I do with it? And it's like, oh, well, there it is, you know. So I kind of like a little anecdote, I guess, about that. To be, can I be vulnerable real quick? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to?
Much better.
Come back.
So to answer your question, actually, outside of the art world, like my experience with dealing with that type of energy comes with martial arts, right? However, there are various martial arts, and most of the time when we think martial arts, we think a competition, you know, like we're gonna go fight somebody to win. And no, that's not the way I see it, because Aikido, which is my martial art, my focus, doesn't have competition. You only compete with yourself. So there's a humbling process of the whole idea, right? Like, you know, you're gonna get beat up, but then you're gonna get to beat that person up as well. But then you're gonna get beat up again. And you gotta learn to fall down to get up again. So there's that idea that the world is not necessarily made for you. And you're eventually gonna have some walls you're gonna have to climb, and some, you know, like gardens made of roses, beautiful roses, full of freaking thorns that you're gonna have to go through. And even though it's beautiful, you're gonna get hurt. And accepting that part is very much necessary in order to actually walk this world, I've understood, you know? And one thing about the martial art world, outside of the competition idea, is understanding that violence is not necessarily the option, like the solution, but there's always an outlet to like let it out. It could be yoga, it could be meditation, it could be actually falling a couple times and getting hurt, you know, and feeling that pain as a physical thing, knowing that there's no say danger. There's a lot of quotations there because I broke my neck in the freaking practice, so go figure. But then again, the whole concept of understanding that life is tough and you have to deal with it is pretty interesting. And in this particular case, I think we can use the idea of that, like we already mentioned, there's the onsen, but there's also the garden, and there's also the town. We can just walk around and, you know, try to get a feel of it, you know. But there has to be that understanding of first knowing yourself and knowing like who you are, so that you know where you're headed. You know what I'm saying? And that'll give you perspective. And whatever's on your way, as long as your determination is, you know, on the right track, you won't be bothered by the fact that there's stuff on your way, as long as you also understand that you cannot just remove it out of your way. You have to deal with it, either go around it, understand it, work with it, or whatever it is. There's many different options, many different roads to deal with, you know, issues. So I have a feeling that we're gonna be learning a lot of that throughout this experience. And it's not just about the fact of butting heads. We might be butting heads with ourselves, like trying to get ourselves out of this bubble that he was mentioning earlier. Like, we're definitely outside of our comfort zone. So how comfortable are we being outside of that comfort zone? How strong are we in terms of will, in terms of, I don't know, self-love, you know, to actually understand what we can do with that energy and how we can manifest that in a way that it's productive, but at the same time it could be healing. You know what I mean? So that's something to consider. Yeah.
So this is a thing I've done after taking ayahuasca a couple years ago. It's not a new concept, it's pretty old. It's called morning pages. So it's this concept where when you wake up, you immediately write for about 5 to 10 minutes. Everything that's in your head, you don't think about it. Just whatever is here, you write it. And what it does is that, like, if you've been sleeping on a thing, whether it's been sitting with you for a while or it just came up, it allows you to kind of like empty your mind in a sense. So you clear kind of like that mental baggage, so that you're able to take in what's new or what's coming for the day so that you can actually handle it better. It's also a great way to, like, after maybe a couple of days, you can review and look at what you've written and kind of see the change. It's almost immediate in certain ways. And in other ways, you're able to see what you're still stuck on. And it kind of allows you to identify with yourself sort of like where you're at, like you were mentioning earlier, right? So like, it's a great sort of like tool for awareness of self, and a great tool for like removing blockages that you carry with. It's so crazy, like the concept of thinking about like mental baggage. Like we know of like emotional baggage, we know of like physical baggage, but like the mental of the stuff that we carry, often we don't know it until it creeps up on us, it multiplies, and then like you're debilitated. So the ability of just kind of like writing and letting it out does wonders. So anytime I'm like feeling like I'm about to get frustrated, I just, whatever I'm thinking about, even if it's nonsensical, because a lot of it will be, just write it out. You'll end up laughing at the shit you wrote later. You'll be like, I cannot believe I was thinking that. Like, that's mad weird. But like, it's a good tool. So I employ that often. You didn't go yet, so.
So the question was dealing with parts of yourself that you're not comfortable with. So to piggyback off of what you said, a good friend of mine told me a quote that the dimmest ink is better than the sharpest memory. And it basically articulates that whenever you remember a thing, even if it's a feeling or a perception of yourself, is you deteriorate the validity of that thought or that memory. It's kind of like if you have, everybody knows Photoshop in here. Say you have a photo, and when you take the photo, it's the highest quality is going to be minus the actual reality that you photographed. You take the photo, you put it in Photoshop, you do your thing, and then you export it. So it's a little less quality, but remembering it is putting it back into Photoshop and editing it again, and editing it because whenever you think about a thought, you insert how you feel about the thought. So you also insert, if it's a good feeling, the memory gets better. All of a sudden, the shoes are a little shinier. If it's a bad thought, then maybe you stepped in some bird poop, and maybe it was a big thing of bird poop. Then it's dog poop. But no matter what, the more you remember it, the worse it's going to get. And the worse it's going to make you feel. And so it's really good to, upon feeling a sensation, to write it down exactly as you feel it in that moment, because then you'll be able to really track actually how you felt, rather than just thinking about it when it comes and making it worse and worse. So I think that's a really good technique. And I was also going to say that for me, to understand is first and paramount when it comes to accepting things about myself. And I try to treat aspects of myself like people. And so my ego would like me to believe that I automatically know and understand this thought. But a lot of times your entire body is perceiving every second. Your skin is perceiving, your eyes are picking up data, your ears. And then so throughout the entirety of your life, you have the sum of it, which are your feelings and thoughts in this moment. But then you have things that you have inherited from your parents. And so it is really oversimplifying to just think that just upon thinking a thing that you could just accept it and understand it, but you have to get to know that thing. And so I think very simply, for me, just sitting in stillness with a feeling, with a thought, and not embracing the feeling as your identity, but something that you are experiencing, and just allowing it to reveal itself to you, and not expecting to get that level of understanding in a day when that feeling took maybe a lifetime of experiences and now it's just coming to the surface. So I would just sum that all up just to say maybe sit with it and just let yourself be and breathe. And when you breathe, just like really slow down to be still, but also inhale and then hold. And then when you're ready to exhale, allow yourself to exhale and then hold. But just get really slow and really quiet and really as soft as you can possibly get. And in doing that, it's kind of like if you've ever done mushrooms kind of bring the details up, and it brings all this information that you felt inside up so you can hear it, right? And you could get that same experience without mushrooms if you bring everything down, because those feelings are already there. But these lights are very loud. My face is very loud. Everything that you hear, everything that you see, everything that you feel is a very loud sensation, and allowed it in the subconscious. But if you allow yourself to quiet everything down, you could get a clear image. And the easiest way to get clarity in murky waters to be still and let it settle. So just allow yourself to settle with those feelings, and whatever comes, write it down and allow that to be a lifelong process of getting to know the different aspects of yourself. And a lot of times the unsavory part is just a branch of something that may not even be unsavory. Like you may not like this one aspect of yourself, but it may come from something that's really beautiful in yourself that maybe took a left turn somewhere. I get really crazy social anxiety. But it's also because I really, as a child, I was a middle child, and my parents gave me a lot of space, and I learned to value that, So I could say, I'm just really awkward around people, but it comes from a place where I really just enjoy being alone, So I was only able to find that because I sat with it, and I didn't just identify with being insecure with my ability to communicate with people. The deeper part of that was something that it took me sitting with myself and being still to understand. So maybe that helps.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I always first of all, great question, because I think it activated so many people all at once, right from it. And I think the term was thrown around earlier, light and shadow work, and obviously we're an art space, so I think of it a lot as understanding, that darkness or that pain. There's always a purpose to it. I know when I went to grad school for public and urban policy, in the whatever group I was in for some of the bigger projects with clients and stuff like that, I would always be the one who would be from the get-go, I would tell the group okay, I'm gonna pick everything apart, but it's gonna be done for a good reason. I always think of critical thinking. The word critical comes from criticizing. You need to be able to poke things out and really be able to articulate when you're building something. And I think in terms of our own work and understanding our own pain, I mean that's kind of how that works. You need to be able to kind of play with that, like you said. You need to understand where it's coming from and what its purpose is. And in terms of making a drawing, you control the lights and you control the darks, and you gotta be able to know how they interplay to make something, because really everything's kind of made from a negative space and positive space and all these other metaphors that are really just there's an interplay of opposing forces. And as artists, or even just as people, our role is to be able to understand these forces and practice until we learn how to actually put them to use and give form to something that we want to give form to.
Just one thing, a little quote that probably connects to the location where we're here, where we at. Sorry, it's a quote in Japanese. It says "Nanakorobi yaoki." It means fall down 7 times, get up 8. Remember that. If you ever feel like you're falling, remember you have to get up again, because the world is not gonna stop because we're down on the floor. So Let's make that shit happen.
Just another kind of quote or something that I've always believed in is that whatever we create as artists is a complete reflection of us. So any uncertainty we have within ourselves, even if we don't want it to come out in the work, it's going to be apparent. And it's not going to be something that is like so obvious. It's going to be something that people feel when they see the work or interact with the work. And when we are having those moments where we maybe are struggling to come up with ideas or unhappy with what we're making, it's like your mind and body giving you a sign that maybe you should take a break or, you know, do something to like get your mind off of it, because just like needing to focus and like trying to make something happen when your mind isn't there, it's gonna be like a cold soup, you know, like it's just not gonna be there. So I think recognizing that in yourself, like recognizing when you're not able to really like make it happen is really important. Yeah.
I just want to add to that really quick. I think we should, you know, a reminder, there's like almost 20 of us here, you know, I think we should take advantage of other artists being here and get feedback and input and like, you know, advice or whatever the case, if we have that available to us, because it is like everybody here makes work. I don't know if anybody is in like a shared studio space, but even with just one person in my studio, like it never feels like enough. Like it never feels like enough input and enough communication and integration. And like the great thing about this residency is that there's so many of us here with so many different perspectives, and I think it's going to be really great to just be able to rely on each other in those cases. Like if we're feeling insecure or unsure, like just reach out. Like there's so many of us here, you know? Wait, oh my God.
I was just gonna say, just out of coincidence, because I got hit with a microphone, that nothing in this life is coincidental. Therefore, why I'm speaking at the moment, right? No, I just want to say everything in acceptance, everything in just be thankful. Be thankful for the moment, for the experience that you're here, that you're around these people, and be mindful of that. Yes, we're focusing on art, and that's our ultimate reason why we're here, but also be mindful of the experience and what you can gain from it and what you can learn from it. And off of that, I'm just going to say that I've had a similar experience. I used to have a residency in a gallery in LA for quite a few years. It's called the Hive Gallery. And it's called the Hive Gallery because it's literally like a beehive in structure and in the fact that it's full of a ton of worker bees that are constantly, they're there. We had access to this huge space, this huge building that has a very big gallery. It's like one of the most successful, longest running galleries in LA. And it had a working space upstairs and show space downstairs. And one of the things that was great about it was the fact that there's all these people there, and everyone has weaknesses and everyone has strengths. And there's so much that we can learn from each one of us. And it's not necessarily, it could be technique, it could be art, but it could also be perspective. It could also be just life in general, you know? So yeah, I'm just saying this because I got hit with a microphone.
What you said something about communicating, like our process, like how we're feeling throughout the process or something. I had an idea that we should make a burn book, but not a burn book, but for like painting, like after your process, you can write in the book, but nothing like that you wouldn't want anyone else to read because someone else would be writing the book. But I think it would be good for the 2 weeks that we're here, and then it just builds up and things like that. And the question you asked, I know that was a long time ago, but I feel like everyone's things are just talking about like open communication, whether it's with yourself or like with other people. And I feel like no matter what we do, if it's meditation or like activities outside or whatever, you shouldn't depend on one of them because that can be like addicting, like crack. And then if you're always meditating and not talking to someone about how you're feeling, and or you're always going outside for a walk but not really like talking. But yeah, I think yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the burn book is a good idea, and this is good. And I gave you the nickname Lair, the lair for these things, but his was way better than mine. Yeah, the Raichu, Pichu.
It's called Raichu.
Yeah, but I think something should be the lair. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
All right, that was your window to get it out your chest. No, but all jokes aside, yeah, I think this is good. I think we don't have that many of these. This is the first of 4. The next one will be Saturday. But yeah, this will be the opportunity to continue to just share mostly. Hopefully be vulnerable with each other. And then like, but I think was really, really cool, and it sounds cliche, but you know, like some people you meet and there's a fast track to just being cool with them. It feels like that for everyone here. Like literally, yeah, literally. And I think that's like the first recipe, honestly, is that we've, for whatever, maybe it's coincidence or not, but for whatever reason, there's like all that work that it takes to get here has been done already. For me, at least. I don't want to speak for everyone. I'm just saying that like it's a beautiful thing in itself when you meet people and you already like are close to them to the degree where for some people it takes like a decade to like get to that point, you know? I have friends or people that I've known for 6 or more years, and each time we see each other is one step. And then there's people that I meet where it's like, as soon as we meet each other, it's like we've already taken 20 steps. But so I feel like that with everybody here, and I hope that you guys do too with each other. But like continue to use this space as that to get whatever's on your chest off and bounce ideas. This will be like our formal, it has no name, but our formal, we'll develop names for everything. Our formal meeting. But yeah, this will conclude it. If you didn't get a chance to say anything next time.